From time to time, when the mood strikes me, I have I have done that Norwegian accent around my daughter and my son-in-law, and he's always got a kick out of it, you know. So about 6 years ago, I bought my mom a car because hers was on the on the south side of being roadworthy. So, but it was going to be a surprise. Well, at my with my job here in Iowa, I couldn't get the time off to take the car up to Minnesota to give it to her. So my daughter and my son-in-law took their car and the car I bought my mom and drove them both up to Minnesota to give her the car, surprise her with it. And it was it was a very good time. It took her completely by surprise, and she was crying, and it was a lot of, I guess it was a very good time. Not that she was crying, not that she was crying, but that she was so overjoyed with the fact that she got this car. Okay, now when I bought the car in Iowa, I didn't have it long enough to even get plates. I just had a paper plate in the rear window, paper sticker. So when they drove it up there, they had to do a transfer title and then mount the new license plates. Well, there weren't even the little screws in the bumpers for the license plates to be mounted. So Travis goes to the auto parts store to pick up some screws, to put these plates on. He gets in there, walks up to the counter, and asks the guy if he has any of those mounting license plate mounting screws for car bumpers. Well, the guy comes up to him and starts talking to him, and Travis, asking like how many he wants or whatever. But his accent is so bad, Travis can't understand the damn word the guy's saying. On top of that, up until this point, Travis had always thought that me doing this goofy Minnesota accent was all bullshit. He didn't even think it was real, you know. So now with this guy talking to him and he can't understand a damn thing this guy's saying, Travis thinks this guy's screwing with me. So now Travis is getting pissed, right? Because he can't make this guy understand, or the guy doesn't understand, or Travis doesn't understand him. Whatever's going on, there's a real miscommunication here, and Travis is starting to smoke. So, so the manager is at the other end of the counter, and he sees my son-in-law. I mean, he's ready to cock this guy and knock him out on the other side of the counter. So the manager comes walking down and interrupts us, and it's almost like he's trying to talk to somebody in English in Czechoslovakia. It's like, excuse me, sir, be of assistance to you. He's got to translate. He has to translate Minnesota English to this kid from Iowa. And Travis wants to kill this guy over 4 sheet metal screws. So he gets the screws. He gets the screws and walks out there and they get the license plate mounted up and everything's fine. But man, when they got back home and he told me that story, I had tears in my eyes. He was so pissed. Like, who the hell does this guy think he is? Messing with me like this? He didn't even know me. Right out of the blue, just trying to get to him. Oh my God. So now Travis knows that these people really are not, they're not wrapped right. uh, about 3 years ago, I was sitting in the living room at my mom's house. I was on vacation, and we were having morning coffee. And she has a radio on next to her, and it's like a local talk show, but it's not like a talk show you think talk show. I mean, this is country times Scandinavian. This is They talk about some pretty odd shit. This is a, I swear, if I'm lying, I'm dying. This is a gospel true story. I'm sitting in a chair, and there's two guys on the radio with this Minnesota accent, and they're talking about different driving conditions. And one guy says, you know, as I get older, I don't like driving much at night. I can't see so good. And the other guy says, yeah, he says it's best to wait till morning. After the sun comes up, visibility improves a lot. I'm sitting in a chair with a coffee cup in my hand. I'm looking at my mom. She's looking at me. Both of us are laughing. Our eyes open, our mouths are hanging open like, I can't believe this guy just said this incredibly stupid thing. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Visibility improves a lot once the sun comes up. All right, now if you're from Minnesota, you have to know about 150 Ole and Lena jokes, and they come in two way. They come in two varieties. They're the Ole and Lena jokes you can tell your mom, and then there's the Ole and Lena jokes you can't tell anybody except in a bar, where you know your mom's not at. So I'll tell you a couple of Ole and Lena jokes that you can tell your mom. Well, that I told my mom. so, Ole and Lena, they've been married for a long time, and they're out for a country drive. Well, they pull into town and to get gas, and they come up to this pump island. They're on one side, and Ole gets out of the car and he's pumping gas. And another car comes in the other direction on the other side of the island, and a guy gets out of the car and he starts pumping gas. And the guy says to Ole, he says, "Say," he says, "where are you from then?" And Ole says, "We're from Wilmer." And he says, "Ah." Lena rolls the window down. "What's he say? What's he say?" Ole says, "He's asking where we're from." She rolls the window back up. And the guy's pumping a little more gas, and he says, he says, "I used to come to Wilmer quite often." Lena rolls the window down. "What's he say? What's he say?" "He said he used to come to Wilmer quite often." He rolls the window back up. And the guy says, "Come to think of it, the worst sex," I forgot the Norwegian accent. He says, "the worst sex I ever had was with a woman that was from Wilmer." And Lena rolls the window down. "What'd he say? What'd he say?" Ole says, "He said he thinks he knows ya." And the other one, Ole and Lena have been married, I don't know, 50 years. Lena dies. Well, she ends up at the pearly gates, and St. Peter says, "Lena." Now, the St. Peter has a Norwegian accent. "Lena, we have a place all set for you." "Thank you, thank you, thank you," she says. She's ready to walk through the gates. St. Peter sticks his hand up and says, "Lena, everything is fine. You just got to answer one question." Lena says, "Okay." He says, "Spell the word love." Lena just smiles. "Oh, that is just so simple. Love, love." And St. Peter says, "Come on in." She's in heaven. Several years go by. Ole finally dies. Ole is on the way up to the pearly gates. St. Peter gets a hold of Lena and says, Ole is on the way up. I think maybe you might just like to welcome him yourself. And Lena says, Ole's coming? He goes, yeah. He says, oh yeah, I would love to do that. So she gets out in front of the pearly gates. Here comes Ole. Poof. And stand in front of the pearly gates. Right away, Ole goes, Lena, 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 my wife, my loving wife, it's so good to see you here. He says, it will be just like it was. We will get up together in the morning. You cook breakfast for me like you always did. Do my laundry for me like you always did. Clean my house for me like you always did. Listen to what I tell you, and we have sex whenever I want. Lena thinks about it and goes, yeah, it's going to be just like that. She says, but you have to answer one question. Ole says, shoot, I'm ready. She says, you have to spell Czechoslovakia. And now this one, this is a joke I heard last Christmas when I was home. My brother and I are sitting at a bar, and the guy looks over to us and he says, when I die, I'm going to have the Minnesota Vikings as pallbearers. And we looked at him, thought, really? He said, yeah, he says, that way I can have them let me down one more time. That's all I got. I've told you just about all the Minnesota shit any normal human being can never bother to listen to and still want to, speak to me at some other time. So I will bid you adieu and good night.